Good morning. This is the Paradise Unicorn Priestess, bringing you day 330 of A Course in Miracles, the Yin translation where we use female words. This would be November 26th if you're starting at the new year. The Process of Psychotherapy. Introduction. Psychotherapy is a process that changes the view of the self. At best, this new self is a more beneficent self-concept. But psychotherapy can hardly be expected to establish reality. That is not its function. If it can make way for reality, it has achieved its ultimate success. Its whole function in the end is to help the patient deal with one fundamental error, the belief that anger brings her something she really wants, and that by justifying attack, she is protecting herself. To whatever extent she comes to realize that this is an error, to that extent is she truly saved. Patients do not enter the therapeutic relationship with this goal in mind. On the contrary, such concepts mean little to them, or they would not need help. Their aim is to be able to retain their self-concept exactly as it is, but without the suffering that it entails. Their whole equilibrium rests on the insane belief that this is possible. And because to the sane mind it is so clearly impossible, what they seek is magic. In illusions, the impossible is easily accomplished, but only at the cost of making illusions true. The patient has already paid this price. Now she wants a better illusion. At the beginning, then, the patient's goal and the therapist's are at variance. The therapist, as well as the patient, may cherish false concepts, but their respective perceptions of improvement still must differ. The patient hopes to learn how to get the changes she wants without changing her self-concept to any significant extent. She hopes, in fact, to stabilize it sufficiently to include within it the magical powers she seeks in psychotherapy. She wants to make the vulnerable invulnerable and the finite limitless. The self she sees is her God, and she seeks only to serve it better. Regardless of how sincere the therapist herself may be, she must want to change the patient's self-concept in some way that she believes is real. The task of therapy is one of reconciling these differences. Hopefully, both will learn to give up their original goals, for it is only in relationships that salvation can be found. At the beginning, it is inevitable that patients and therapists alike accept unrealistic goals, not completely free of magical overtones. They are finally given up in the minds of both. All right, in this introduction to the process of psychotherapy, we have an inherent animosity set up between patient and therapist, where the patient doesn't want to change her conception of the self, but would just like to fix what she sees as the problems. The therapist would very much like to change the patient's concept of self. And this passage says that both of them need to give up their goals. Neither one of them is going to bless this relationship. And it comes out and says that salvation is only found in relationships. And we know from the Course that the only true communication is love. And in this world, we do not find love, not in its pure form. We only find adulterated forms of love. So those that would serve love seek to open themselves, remove resistance and obstacles to love shining into this illusion and melting away that which is not true. And of course, out of kindness, out of gentleness, we are not left with a void of form when the illusion melts away, but it is replaced by a gentler illusion, as long as we need that. So it is clear why the patient would need to drop her goals of not changing her concept about the self, because the whole consistent teaching of the Course is that our concept of the self is completely wrong and is an illusion. But why does the therapist need to drop her goals? That's maybe a little bit less clear. Perhaps the best way to think of it is because it is never our role to correct another person. That's the Holy Spirit's role. The therapist's role then is to give up having an agenda and to simply be one who wishes to let love shine through all things, and therefore seeks to be in tune and in touch with love and guided by love in every word and action. And while the Course lets us know that its purpose is not to teach us what love is, its purpose is only to help us to drop all of our resistance to love that we may learn for ourselves what love is, it does give us an example for the gentleness, the thoughtfulness, the compassion that love is. So, seeing as most of us are not professional therapists, can we find value in this channeled work? I believe so. I believe that we have all come to teach one another, and the Course says that we have all come to teach one another, that we learn by teaching. That which we embody, that which we become is what we teach, and that's what we learn. Every interaction we have is an opportunity for teaching, and when we are in tune with love, then we will teach love, and we will exude a being that is an invitation to another to receive love. So the patient is whoever is in the state of most suffering. In the situation where there is not a formal professional therapist, we all have this interaction where we can offer healing to one another. And the one that is the patient is the one that is most in the state of suffering at that moment. And the passage today explains that the one who is suffering is dealing with the fundamental error that anger brings her something she really wants, and that by justifying attack, she is protecting herself. And that to whatever extent she comes to realize this is an error, to that extent is she truly saved. So we're all here to be present for one another in inviting the other to drop down all such weapons as only hurting themselves, to be present with each other in the letting go of anger. The passage goes on to explain that the patient wants to stop suffering, but without making a change to their self-concept and their way of being. And since the sane mind knows this is impossible, there is the reliance on magic. And again, the way the Course uses the word magic is that it is trying to solve problems in the dream. It is complete belief that the dream is real, and therefore trying to work within the limits that the dream illusion puts forth as law, unbreakable law. So magic always comes within structure, limiting structure, whereas the miracle just walks through walls as though they are made of mist. The passage goes on to say, in illusions, the impossible is easily accomplished, but only at the cost of making illusions true. The patient has already paid this price, and now she wants a better illusion. Well, the Holy Spirit also offers us a better illusion, but the Holy Spirit's illusion is a forgiving one, where absolutely everyone is blessed with no one left out. Is the patient trying to secure for herself a better illusion where she wins out at the cost of others, where she is able to retain a sense of blame towards others? That is the thing that cannot be, not without suffering. The Holy Spirit's illusions, the gentle ones that replace ours and are the happy dream, the forgiving dream, are the only ones that do not perpetuate further illusion. They bring us closer and closer to simplicity, not deeper and deeper into complexity. It is when we give in to temptation to see ourselves as separate and attack and judge others, or attack and judge ourselves, that we perpetuate the complexity and the suffering in illusions. The thing is, we are not the mastermind behind the happy dream and the forgiving dream. Rather, it is something we allow to come through us because only the oneness can conceive of it. Only the entire mind of the child of God, what the Course calls the Christ, and also what the Course calls the Holy Spirit, can be the author of the miracle, the happy dream that is the forgiving dream. So when we plan, when we micromanage, when we set specific expectations, all we do is block it. When we trust that love's version of the illusion is better than anything we possibly could have come up with, and we simply allow and leave an opening, then we make way for the miracle. Today is the last day we review What is Creation, found in show notes, before going on to a new open-ended question to the universe that will go with the next 10 lessons. And then we go on to lesson 330. I will not hurt myself again today. Let us this day accept forgiveness as our only function. Why should we attack our minds and give them images of pain? Why should we teach them they are powerless when God holds out her power and her love and bids them take what is already theirs? The mind that is made willing to accept God's gifts has been restored to spirit and extends its freedom and its joy and is the will of God united with its own. The self which God created cannot sin and therefore cannot suffer. Let us choose today that she be our identity, and thus escape forever from all things the dream of fear appears to offer us. Mother, your child cannot be hurt, and if we think we suffer, we but fail to know our one identity we share with you. We would return to it today, to be made free forever from all our mistakes, and to be saved from what we thought we were. That is our lesson for the day. Happy practicing.